Hey YouTube, it's echobear, and today I want to be an app for you guys that's called Galaga Wars. Now, before I get into talking about this app, I just finished recording this episode and the microphone wasn't plugged in right. So I've already done this entire review and no one will ever hear it because I lost the audio. So we're gonna try again. And also we have a small kitty friend here tonight. He's tired and I didn't have the heart to move him. Look at him, he's so cute. Anyway, on to the serious stuff. So, Galaga Wars is made by Bandai Namco, which makes sense because they're the parent company of Galaga. And the first version that I can find of it being released was on June 10th, 2016. And as far as genre goes, this is pretty much the ancestor of all ancestors of any, shooty, infinite runner space type game. For those of you guys who don't really know much about this game or were too young to really experience it in the full-blown arcade years that it really dominated, Galaga is pretty much one of the first games that you got to fly around as a spaceship in space and shoot a bunch of stuff. Like, tons and tons of games kind of like have their roots from this kind of thing. Like, a lot of mechanics, a lot of ideas, and a lot of just everything comes from Galaga. So for sure, a huge part of gaming history, 100%. So this version that I'm going to be talking about though is one of the latest versions of the app that has come out. If you guys are familiar with my channel or have just for some reason binge watched all of my episodes, which dang, kudos for you, but I have reviewed a Galaga app before. It was forever ago. I don't remember a whole bunch about it, but I'm going to be referencing the original Galaga game along with that Galaga app a lot throughout this review. So just a heads up. So this specific version of Galaga has kind of moved past its predecessor in several different ways. Several things being the main thing being its warp system and controls. The original cabinet version of Galaga had a button that you would spam to shoot and then another joysticky where you would control. The app that I reviewed previously also had that kind of scheme. This one has kind of moved beyond that and kind of combined them both. So in this version, pretty much you just have your phone or whatever device you're playing it on, you tap and hold and then move back and forth to both shoot and control the movement of the plane. So you don't have, spaceship, so you don't have to worry about doing one thing or the other or worrying about what your hit to fire ratio is the old games used to make you worry about. This way, honestly, it's a lot cleaner and a lot smoother than the original games were, where in the app version my thumbs would cramp up from playing it too long, and the arcade version my hand would cramp up from playing it too long. This way it's a lot easier to play it for a lot longer, and it's just in general a lot easier to control because you can move wherever you want to on the screen, which is dangerous because most of the time you'll get hit. But you can move wherever you want, any direction you want, at the speed you want, and just it gives you a lot more freedom of control than the original Galaga games used to give you. Another awesome update that it's gotten is the design in general. It definitely has teens, whatever era we're in, feel to it, because it has a lot of feel of all of that nostalgia. All of the plane designs are really similar to the old designs, all of the enemies are super similar, but in the same time they've been refreshed and revamped to the point where they look like something very new. So it gets that very nice mix of nostalgia from the visuals, you recognize the ship, you recognize all of the enemies, except now they're bubbly and animated more, and the fact that their shots are dynamic and glowy and there's explosions and things flying around in the background. That is a huge update for these types of games. And I honestly love it for that. So as you continue throughout this game, I kind of mentioned it before, but one of the main advancements of this game versus its predecessors, aside from its controls, is the implementation of warp zones. So pretty much you have each kind of zone which functions as its own level or own wave. And by completing that, you unlock the option to warp to them. Now, as you're playing, you get these little warp cubes, or you can watch an ad to warp to those specific places. The farther you get, the more warp cubes they cost, but it still only costs one ad. So, with that in mind, you also have to be able to collect enough coins to unlock those warp spaces. That is a lot of work, mind you, but at the same time, it's really nice versus the old arcade versions where if you did get a game over, you had to start over from the very beginning and would just have to continue on in that way. So this gives you a nice option to where you can start from the very beginning if you want to, if you want that traditional arcadey feeling experience. Or you can watch an ad or use your little warp cubes to get ahead in the game and get farther in the game. It's very nice because it used to be so frustrating for me when games would be like, haha, got a game over, time to start from the beginning. It's like, thanks for that. But I digress. It's a very nice addition to these types of games where it used to pretty much be like one shot and then you're done. Where like the App Store and video games in general have moved past like the quarter, like pay to play kind of thing, kind of. There's a lot of controversy around that right now. But kind of, sort of, we've moved past that, and the fact that you can just play the game and give what you want and just play the game to get that progress is very nice to what it used to be. A couple little issues I do have with it is kind of, it's weird, like dodging in between nostalgia and modernizing? I don't know, it's late. But that is a little bit of an issue that I have with it, mainly because the music is definitely updated. It's orchestral and all of that, but the sounds for the achievements and the shooting and moving around, all of that basic stuff is still very 8-bitty sounding, but some of the newer stuff is also like more fully and more realistic than the 8-bit stuff. So it kind of creates this weird offset between the two, which your brain is kind of fighting if it wants to feel that nostalgia or not. So I get why they do that, because they want to bring new players in, they want to make this really accessible for any new player that does want to come in, but they still want to make sure that they're appeasing the audience that has made this like such a staple of gaming history. Which, as we all kind of know, it can help and it can hurt the gaming industry when they rely too much on nostalgia. Because at some point it is going to get boring, it is going to get very vanilla and just not interesting anymore. So I think what they're doing is really good. I'm glad they're trying to like breathe new life and give new themes and stuff to Galaga, but I just really hope it's enough to like kind of overpower that overwhelming nostalgia that people feel for this franchise. But for everything this game has, I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. Because honestly, for everything it does and for the couple little drawbacks it has, it's a wonderful addition to the Galaga franchise. It's a lot of fun, it's creative, the addition of the warps are really nice, and just in general a welcome thing from having to start at the very beginning for these types of games. I really appreciate that, and I want to see games continue with this pattern of like old franchises trying new things in the App Store. That's like ridiculously fun for me to see all these games I played when I was a little kid being recreated in what I'm kind of doing with my life right now. So, as always, thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to click down in the description below if you guys want to download this game and try it out. Make sure to stick to the very end of the video to see the other Galaga app that I reviewed. Maybe you'll want to check that one out instead. And also, stick around to see what else I have. Also, there's a couple bloopers with this little duder, probably. I don't know, he hasn't been making much noise. He's pretty dead to the world, aren't ya? But as always, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys have a lovely day. Smokey does too, even though he doesn't look like it. And we'll see you in the next video. Bye!